During a recent interview on Newsmax with Sebastian Gorka, Republican Congressman Jim Jordan implied that liberals, leftists, Democrats, whatever they are, somehow need to be destroyed in order for, I don't know what, this country to be successful, or just because they're opposition to you, Jim Jordan. Let me read you what Jordan had to say. Every third generation in this country has had to do something big. You think about the founders, what they did when they declared why we're going to be an independent country, what they had to overcome, the greatest military in the world. They did it. 3 generations later, Lincoln and the Americans and then held the country together, got rid of the evils of slavery. 3 generations later, we defeated Imperial Japan and Nazi Germany. The evils that those 2 countries represented in the greatest generation won that war. Here we are 3 generations later, and the assault is from the radical left. We have to step forward and do our part like previous generations have done. I think we're up to the task. If you ask me, Jim Jordan here appears to be calling for violence against liberals and leftists and Democrats. I mean, after all of the other examples he gave were acts of war, right? The Revolutionary War, the Civil War, the Second World War, and using all of that imagery, all of those evils that we were fighting against, but now there's a new evil that we got to fight against. The Democrats. How is this man allowed to say these kinds of things? Is it because it's thinly veiled? Because he doesn't actually say it, it's really just implied. And when you imply something, of course, anybody can take that to mean whatever the hell they want it to mean. You know, you can't really even file any kind of lawsuit against it because he didn't explicitly say it. Sometimes our laws here in the United States, that were written, of course, with the best of intentions, are totally ass backwards in this kind of situation. Just because he didn't explicitly say, go out there and commit acts of violence against leftists, means we can't do anything about this. Even though he said the radical left is the new enemy, and just like we had to do with the Nazis, just like we had to do with the slaveholders, just like we had to do with the British, we defeated them in war, in combat, with violence. How can that not be construed as anything other than a call to violence against people on the left? But again, the laws are written in such a way that there's literally nothing we can do about this. We just have to sit back and hope it doesn't happen. Hope that we're not the next victim of right-wing domestic terror that happens all too frequently here in the United States. And it happens because of people like Jim Jordan. It happens because of statements like what we heard him say there. In my mind, in my opinion, that is no different than him explicitly calling for violence against leftists. That's how I take that. That's how I interpret that. Now, maybe your take on it is different. Maybe I'm just a little overly sensitive to it. But I don't think so. I've seen the death threats. I've received the death threats. Certainly not as much as some of the other folks. Certainly not even as much as the members of Congress in the squad. But the threats are there, and the threats are against each and every one of us. All of us know that all too well. And to hear somebody like Jim Jordan come out and make this claim where he dances around actually calling for violence, his audience, I'm willing to bet, knows what he meant there. And so do the rest of us. And for those of us who've been the targets in the past, it's a truly terrifying thing to hear. And in a just world, Jordan would not be serving in Congress. Jordan would not be receiving any immediate attention because nobody would know who he is. He'd be a nobody from nowhere, probably working some dead-end job sitting in a cubicle all day. But here in America, even the dumbest and most corrupt among us can make their way to Congress, where their words, whether intentional or not, spark violence against those that they disagree with politically.